Hi Mark, thanks for joining us at Songwriting Academy. Really delighted to have you here, mate.
Oh, my pleasure, bud.
So let's dive in, Mark. Obviously, I want to know all about you. So now you've had a long career. You've been a recording artist, and you've been a full-time songwriter for artists as incredible as Tina Turner, Joe Cocker, Shaka Khan, Diana Ross, Taylor Dayne, the Spice Girls, Winona Judd. The list goes on and on and on. Could you give me a bit of your history as right from the beginning?
Yeah.
From first time music really got you?
I'm from upstate New York, Binghamton, Syracuse, New York, and kind of in the '60s era when music was just sort of a potpourri on the radio. You had the Beatles, the Beach Boys, Sinatra. I think that's part of why I loved writing, because there were so many different influences you could go for. I was in what they would call garage bands. As soon as you were old enough to play, you were rehearsing in somebody's garage and writing really bad songs and playing bad gigs. That took me from there to a Berklee School of Music for just about a minute, which was kind of funny because I wanted to play jazz bass, I thought, but I couldn't read music. And at that point, it was probably 1970, and Berklee was looking to probably get the first wave of rock kids in just for the money, I imagine, But I wanted to be a songwriter more than buckle down and learn that stuff. So that was the beginning of that, and playing in more bands. But the goal had been to write songs. I was writing the songs for my own bands. One of those bands finally got pretty lucky, called Faith Band, that was based in Indiana. So I moved from New York to Indiana on the premise of writing songs for their album. They had an album deal. And I thought I'd stay, 7 weeks, and I stayed 7 years. Became a member of the band. The band did a very infamous record deal with Terry Knight. So the band was blown up with billboards on Times Square, just a huge hype deal. That fell apart. Sort of one thing to another, but the band thing continued with that band opening for acts like Fleetwood Mac and Hall & Oates and the Doobie Brothers, just all the great bands of that era. So it was a really good proving ground. And the end of that, the artist thing for me was actually coming to London, and I signed a deal with Billy Gaff, who managed Rod Stewart and John Mellencamp, and by this point it was a duo called Blinding Tears. So we did an album here in London with some wonderful players, and that was the beginning of my love affair with London. That would have been 1985, and since then I've come over 24 times, I think I counted, to write, and I just love it. So, but that was the last artist endeavor. I thought I really want to write, and I started getting a few cuts at that time, and it made the path a little bit clearer.
How did you get the cuts?
The very first one was through my lawyer in L.A., a guy named John Frankenheimer, who is to this day very, very good, very powerful, Loeb and Loeb. And he got one of my songs to Diana Ross. So we cut that together. And
that was one of your first cuts?
It was probably maybe the first one that anyone would know of. I'd written for my bands and those albums and all that. But as far as another artist, that was the first one.
Wow, that's a great springboard.
It was fun. Tom Dowd did it, who I always admired, So that really gave me the bug to go, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. And of course, since then, you've gone on to write for all of these other incredible stars, and a lot in Nashville too. Before we hit Nashville, just tell me about Tina Turner, getting a song recorded by her.
That was my favorite, because Tina, as a writer, you idolize some artists, and when you write songs, that voice is in your head. So over the years, some of those classic, Aretha, you have kind of a hit list. Aretha was there, Tina, Rod Stewart, Shaka Khan. Those were the voices in my head, and especially even as a kid, Joe Cocker was another one for me. I would kind of sing like that, even though I couldn't sing like that. That was the voice of the song for me.
Yeah.
So when that one got done, especially, I was in tears. My publisher, Torkel Creevy, with Miles Copeland, called and said, "Let me play you something," on the phone, and my wife Kathy was there with me, and I was crying. I thought, there it is. There's that voice doing something that I wrote.
You made.
And the same with Cocker and ones like that. Fantastic feeling.
So, at what point did you take your songwriting thing? Okay, I'm going to move to Nashville with this and hit the country scene. Was it Was it a deliberate, I want to write country, or was it, hey, I like the look of Nashville as a place to live?
Well, you know what it was? The short version, I lived in L.A. I actually had lived in L.A., moved to London to do the deal I mentioned to you. That would be in 85-ish. Mm-hmm. Back to L.A., my wife and I got married and had a couple of young daughters. And we're looking to leave L.A. And at the time we thought maybe London, full-time, or maybe let's look at Nashville. At the time, Nashville was way more country, really strictly old school country, pretty much. And it was closer for us, and we just tried it out and liked it. Great environment, and it's still to this day, great environments. I don't think my intent was to write country songs as much as just to expand, to say, I wonder if I can work in this genre, because that's what I still love to do, to look at something and go, can I learn from that? Can I get in this? So I never stopped and said, let's be a country writer. But I thought, let's explore this. Yeah. And I lucked out because two things happened. One, my publisher hooked me up with Kai Fleming, who to this day is my favorite co-writer and great friend. And Kai wrote I Was Country When Country Wasn't Cool, all these iconic pop-type country songs. And she loved what I did and just opened up Nashville. She'd call and say, you need to meet this person. Without that, honestly, I don't know if I would have stuck there as well. And the other thing that happened is Tony Brown, who's a wonderful, legendary producer and label head, heard a couple of my songs, and Winona Judd was just becoming a solo act, and it was huge. And Tony put her on the phone with me. I was living in Indiana at the time. I'd actually taken a break from LA for a little bit with our family, And Tony called me and said, let me put Winona on. And Winona said, can you send me everything you have? I don't care what genre. Opened up Nashville again. So, and as music things happen, I thought, well, this is easy. But that was not easy. Winona in the end didn't do that song. Yeah. And it'd be a couple more albums till she ever did a song of mine. Yeah. But the fact is, a couple people like that made the move easier.
The song you're most proud of, would you say, of your career?
Probably back to Tina Turner. I loved everything about the song. It's called Dancing in My Dreams. Yeah. That was on the Wildest Dreams album, which I think they sold 6 million. And a short story about it. But what was so cool about it is I wrote it with Kai Fleming and Brenda Russell. Brenda's written The Color Purple music. She's phenomenal. 3 very diverse writers, and to this day, my favorite co-writing story. We got together in a room in Nashville, and we'd all been shooting for some of the same artists and falling a little bit short. And we said, you know what, let's just write for ourselves for 2 days. Don't care who's looking, don't care if the song suits anybody in the universe. Let's knock each other out if we can. And we did. At the end of 2 days, we played a song, we all cried, hugged. Brenda and I ran to the closest studio and recorded it, played it nonstop in the car, wherever we went. We're going, I'm still playing this thing, Then it got funny because it did not suit any brief. It did not suit what they were looking for. To this day, the most amazing experience, because we thought, okay, well, we love it. If no one else gets it, we're still good. Mission accomplished. Yeah. Somebody at Brenda's publishing company said, this is not what Tina's looking for, but I got a feeling if she heard it, she would love it, because I know her a little bit, kind of felt her, So went totally against the brief, got it to Tina's label. Tina's label said, you guys are losing your mind. This is not the brief. How dare you, basically. Why would you waste our time? So that kind of they reamed out the publisher, basically. In the meantime, the same person at the company got it to Tina. So the cut to the end of the version, Tina's on Oprah going, I got this song and I built my whole album around it. This is the song that I wanted. This is my heart. And this began the journey. And we're all like, amazing. It was a great lesson to, with those 2 other writers and usually with people after that, I thought, let's write something that's just going to kill us, because if it kills us, somebody will get it.